couple weeks ago, my dryer broke. I have one of those washer dryer units where they're connected. They're like stacked on top of one another and they're bolted together. And the electrical system runs through both of them. And the way the dryer broke was when it reached the end of the cycle, the buzzer just kept buzzing. And no matter how much I tried to finagle the timer or the start stop switch, it just kept buzzing. So I had no choice. I had to disconnect the power supply. And then I consider myself to be like moderately mechanical, I guess. So I looked online and I figured out how to open up the control panel, and then I just disconnected the buzzer. And I'd seen that some people just do that anyways because they don't like the sound the buzzer makes. And I would put myself in that category. And I have a small house, so a lot of times I'm sitting here while that dryer is on, so I can hear the clanking of zippers and buttons inside the drum. So it's not like I don't know when it's done. So the next time I went to use it, I plugged the thing back in, and to my delight, the buzzing had stopped. I washed my clothes, and then I put them in the dryer, and it seemed to be fine for about 25-30 minutes. But after that, it just stopped, and then it was making like a weird humming sound. So I had no choice at that point to call a service person, and so that's happening. And obviously, in the meantime, because this has been about 2 weeks now that I haven't been able to use the unit, and so I'm going to the local laundromat to do my clothes. And I went early in the morning to this place, only about a mile and a half, 2 miles away from me. And I went first thing in the morning. There was no one there. And when I walked in, I took a quick look around. I had not been in the place before, but I looked around. I was kind of looking at the machines. Everything looked pretty clean and new. And I didn't, not that I went machine to machine, but it looked like there wasn't anyone else there that had, started their laundry or, there were no other machines running. And just from what I saw, it didn't look like there was anything in any of the machines. So I thought I was the first person there. And so I put my clothes in, I set it to wash, and then I figured, well, I'm going to go to the store, buy some dog food. And by the time I do that and get back, the 27 minutes will have elapsed, and then I'd be ready to put my clothes in their big industrial dryer. And so when I walked out of the place and I got in my car, in my rear view, I noticed what looked like a homeless guy. He had like a big, like Grizzly Adams kind of beard, and he was wearing like a camouflage jacket, it just looked weird. And he went right into that laundromat, and I was like, and the weirdest thing was he kind of popped out of the back of the building. And there's nothing back there. It's just like goes into like the woods, I think. So I don't know where he came from, but he just like walked out of there like that, like the liquid Terminator from T2. He just like oozed out of the shadows. And then he went in there. He looked at my car. Like I could see him like looking at me. And I was like, was he waiting for the first person to go in there to drop off clothes just so he could kind of size up to see anything would fit him? Because the other thing that I noticed is, when I was sitting there waiting to pull out into traffic, he didn't have any laundry with him. He didn't have a bag or anything, or he didn't have a basket. And like I said, while I didn't go machine to machine, I didn't see any clothes that were in there that were running or just sitting in a dryer or something. So I really don't think that guy was there to do laundry. So I reluctantly went to the store to get the dog food, and the whole time I was thinking, well, he was pretty big. My clothes wouldn't have fit him. Maybe he'd take some towels, or maybe he was just one of those weird people that like steals underwear. I don't know. I was nervous, but when I got back there half an hour later, I did not see him, and all of my clothes still appeared to be in the washer. I put them in the dryer, and then I went to the health club for an hour. I came back. My clothes were there. They were ready to go, and I got out of there. So that was like 5 days ago. And then just yesterday, I went back there. I had enough clothes to do more laundry. And there happened to be a gentleman that was in there. And we ended up just kind of like starting up a conversation. And I told him this story. And he burst out laughing. I was like, oh, that's funny. And because I think the way our conversation started was he was asking me if I had ever been in that laundromat and if I felt safe just leaving my clothes there and heading out. And that's how I ended up telling him about the Grizzly Adams man. So we had a good laugh about that. I left. I basically did the same thing. Went to buy a few things at the Walmart. I checked the toilet paper aisle. There was nothing there. And then I went back, put the clothes in the dryer, went to the health club, and when I got back to get my clothes, there's that same homeless looking guy. He's just like sitting in there. And yeah, when I walked in, he just looked right up at me. And I was like, I wonder if he's just coming in here just to use the bathroom and hang out. I mean, they got cameras in there, so it's not like they wouldn't catch him if he just started doing weird stuff in there. But that was just odd. It's an odd story. I don't even know why I'm talking about it. There's just people out there that like to hang out in laundromats, I guess. This is one of those 24-hour laundromats. It's just always open. And I guess there's just people that like to hang out in them. Maybe next time if I go back, I'll wear camouflage and a fake beard. And I'll just sit with that guy. Not saying anything, just sitting with him. Maybe he'll be weirded out and he'll leave. End of story.